Greetings, YouTube. Today I'd like to talk about a race that I found in the Pathfinder Bestiary number 5, and this is the Astomoi. They look like, and they appear, so the humanoid appears to be made of darkness, has no discernible ears, eyes, mouth, or nose. So they are black, completely black, with like probably a star pattern or something on their body. Everyone would probably be unique in that regard. Um, and they have some unique capabilities. For example, they um, special attacks. They have a frantic amplifications, frantic pools, some psychic spells known. This is an example. Actually, this is probably their racial classes. Oh, here's their special ability. Sorry. First is mouthless. The Astomoi can't eat or drink to survive. Instead, they absorb the essence of food and drink, thus consuming the nutrients of the meal as though it had been eaten, rendering the food useless to others. Astomoi consume potions and other ingested materials in the same fashion. Since they never actually ingest anything, they can't normally be exposed to ingested poisons. So essentially, they would just like hold a bottle of water and hydrate. And then the liquid inside the bottle in the container would become useless. Someone could drink it, but it would do nothing for them. An interesting idea. Same with food. They just kind of absorb the essence, and the food would look the same, but it would now be completely inert and useless. Fascinating concept if you wanted to sell that as a dietary supplement now, isn't it? You do that over something which has no flavor, then you spice it after. The only nutrient would be the spices, hot sauces, curries, chutneys, things like that. So you could consume a great quantity of food, fill yourself up physically, the sensation of satiation, but you would have no caloric intake. I could see this as being very useful if you were going to be an Astomoi chef of some variety. That's fascinating. Okay, next ability. Sensitive breath. Astomoi taking negative penalty on saving throws against disease and inhaled poisons because they essentially pull in everything in through their body. Telepathic senses. Astomoi can't speak or see, but can mentally sense the area within 60 feet as per dark vision, and can speak telepathically. As Astomoi can't see anything beyond 60 feet, an Astomoi must provide thought components for spells that normally require verbal components. It can use language-dependent abilities with its telepathy, but not abilities that depend on audible components. So if you had a device that required a spoken word, it wouldn't work. But they could still cast spells that have verbal components because they are the ones manipulating and generating the magic. I think that's the kind of logic here. The other items are being produced by someone else who incorporated a verbal component into their production. So I think that's that kind of logic there. At least that's what I'm going for. And as player characters, they have a negative con, +2 intelligence, and +2 wisdom. I'm seeing spellcasting and psionics in their future. Medium, normal speed, scent. They have the scent ability, which can be useful. They have, again, the mouthless, sensitive breath, and telepathic sense, which I just described, and languages. So even though they are telepathic, they are only telepathic within the specific languages they know. So they could speak at you in a language you don't know, and you would just kind of get static. And if you attempted to speak to them, they would just not understand you. It'd be like listening to any other foreign language. Astomoi begin playing knowing common, but as they have no mouths, they cannot speak. They have telepathic with a range of 100 feet, so they can actually communicate at a greater range than they can see. So, say probably once they've established a contact with you, they can still continue to talk to you telepathically, even if they are outside their visual or telepathic sense range. Astomoi with high intelligence score can choose any of the following languages: Abysmal, Acloy, Celestial, Elven, Gnome, Infernal, and Sylvan. Interesting selection of language. Now, I've been thinking about this race, and a good character concept or gaming concept that gets me to start kind of playing with an idea and thinking, how could I manipulate this? How could I change it? What would I do? What kind of a character would I generate? That to me is someone who's done a good job. So, ideas I have come up with. First of all, any spell cast by an Astomoi that has a verbal component would be automatically a silent, have the silent spell feat attached to it for free. So this kind of compensates for they have very severe handicaps they have. They really have some severe handicaps, and I think this is fine. This makes it very useful for spellcasters because all of their spells are silent. Now, I believe it might have been in Radiance, the game Radiance, where you could have a feat which was called psionics. So the game didn't have proper psionics, but if you added that feat to a spell, this spell would then not have a verbal or somatic component. So you would just like look at something or look in the direction of the thing and just will it to happen. Which was a good way of kind of tweaking any spell into kind of a psychic ability. So you didn't have to have an entire new tree of psychic abilities. You could just tweak the existing ones that are already there. So I'm kind of playing off that. So these beings will be able to cast spells. They are silent, free of charge. Which of course only works if you're a spellcaster. So that's not going to apply to everybody. Though I would have it work for psionic abilities as well. I mean, I would have it cover both. I use the psionic and magic are cross-compatible, like the feats that affect magic affect psionic magic. You've got the idea. Okay. I would also put an inhibition on them that any spell that requires a verbal command or ability, psychic ability, will only function for the Astomoi within 60 feet. So if they want to cast a spell that normally could go further than 60, for an Astomoi, it's limited to 60. So I'm putting a limitation on the range of their spells that kind of counterbalances the silent feat I just gave them for free. And another thing is I'm going to expand on their telepathic sense as far as sight is concerned. Now, the game says they can see within 60 feet telepathically, and it works as dark vision. Now, dark vision is black and white only, and you can't see color at all. So they're going to be seeing the world in black and white all the time. So they're essentially colorblind. And I'm going to give them all-around vision. So essentially, they're going to get Daredevil's ability to see. They can see in all directions. It means they cannot be flanked. And you may think, oh, that's a real, it's a major ability, and it is a major ability. However, they can only see to 60 friggin' feet. They live in a 120-foot sphere of vision. And the rest of the universe does not friggin' exist. They can't hear anything beyond that. They can't see anything beyond that. That is it. That's a major handicap. Now, for example, the drow, and yes, I say drow, and deep dwarves, what are they, the snuffleupagus, whatever they are, both of them have dark vision to 120 feet, which is very powerful. But that balances by having them be handicapped with light blindness. So if they go into bright daylight, their vision is really screwed up because they have evolved to live in the deep darkness. However, if you turn artificial lights on, they can still see color. And that the artificial light will not blind them unless it's, really profoundly bright, like a daylight spell. But like the lights I've got in this room might irritate them slightly, but it's not going to blind them because none of the lights in this room, even though I've got 3 of them on, are overwhelmingly bright. They would probably prefer if I only had 1 on. But it's not going to cause their light blindness to kick in. At least I wouldn't have it kick in. None of these lights are that bright. So the game says you have an extraordinary sense. You have to balance it with something. Well, not being able to perceive anything beyond 60-foot range is a major handicap. So giving them all-around vision, in my mind, is perfectly acceptable. And now I would also allow them at a specific class level, maybe 5th level, allow them to spend a feat and be able to see invisible. Because their ability is now perceiving not just sight, but like the physical objects. It's now kind of functioning like radar as well as sonar as well as radar. So again, Daredevil's advanced sensing vision, which then gives them a more of an ability to function and survive in the real world. But I would tack on a class level with that, probably 5th level. I think that's probably good for an ability to see 5th or maybe 7th. And you tell me, what do you think? I think 5th is good. 5th is when you start to get some decent abilities. I like these characters. I really think it would be well suited to either traditional wizards or to psionic characters. And particularly if they're going to be using a psionic skin, because you could have a psionic skin that was custom designed to give them physically a different look. Because let's face it, you see this creature, black, flat black skin with a star pattern on it, you're going to know in a heartbeat that they're Astomoi, that they're not normal people, even though they look structurally like a human, other than that, visual cue. You give them a psychic skin, and now they're just somebody in a suit. And it's a good way to disguise who they are. I could see illusionary magic being something they really love because it hides stuff. It also would help them hide the fact that their mouths are not moving when they're talking to you. Because many people might not even be aware that the person that they're talking to is in their skull. Now, it doesn't specify that it's just one person at a time, but that would be intriguing. So an Astomoi could become a switchboard for a party, communicating with people in the area without anyone else being able to hear, as opposed to broadcasting their speech. Again, that would be something good. They broadcast their speech at 1st level. Then at, say, 3rd level, their speech can now be discerned and can be restricted to one person at a time. And maybe they can, every odd level after that, up to, a maximum of their, say, their intelligence bonus or something, or whatever, they can add to that network. So you could have, maybe at a higher level character could have 3 or 4 people all hooked into the network, but no one other than those hooked into that network could hear what's going on. That would be very useful in combat. Very useful. Yeah. I'm seeing quite a few possibilities with this race. All right. So these are just some ideas I was kicking around, and I took the time to write them down. At the time of this writing, I wrote these down on 6/9/17, and today is 6/9/17. Hey, I like that. I wrote them last night at work. Sorry, I'm a tad tired. It's my long day. Today I don't sleep until 10 p.m., so I'm up all day long. And at the moment, I'm kind of running a caffeine high. I know that in a few hours, I'm going to have to take some more so I can keep functioning until my wife gets home and we can sit back and relax and watch a movie or something. So I'm babbling now. I'm tired. So tell me, what would you use the Astomoi for? Have anyone else been exposed to them? And did they get any gears growing inside your skull? Did you find the idea interesting? I do. I haven't gotten all the way through the book yet. I will do a review eventually. And I'm sure there might be some individual things in here that I find interesting. I may do a couple of these type of videos about individual monsters that really kind of, get something going. Because inspiration can come from anywhere. We all know that. So let's talk about this somewhat odd race and what we can do with them.